Hi, Sarah. How are you doing today? Guys, let me know if you can see and hear me. I think you can see me for sure. Just need to double check to make sure you can hear me before we get started. All right, great. So you can see me and you can hear me. Whew, what else can a girl ask for, right? To be seen and heard. How are you guys doing today? Today is the 14th of March, 2023, which means it's our live release of our brand new products, and we have some really good stuff this month. Thank you. You already got your pouncers, girl. You better snag them up because they're going fast, super fast. Hi, Holly. How are you? Hi, Monique. Hello, Cecilia. All right. Hello, Gail. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started since there's this many people here ready to go. So it's about 6:02. So I'll just start talking and everybody else will join in. So my name is Nicole Petersen. Hi, I'm the owner and designer, inventor at Picket Studios. I live in South Louisiana with my husband, Matt, who you guys have seen or heard his voice in the background. We live in South Louisiana. Our company we make, hi Peggy, hi guys. So we specialize in stamps, dies, stencils, tools, mixed media products. I'm forgetting something, I'm sure. I think I forgot dies. All right, so I'm really excited you guys are here today. This is our March 2023 release, and we have been waiting a very long time to share our new product with you guys. Now, we're going to talk about the Paper Pouncers in a moment. Yes, oh yeah, we do stencils and yeah, we do other stuff too. I forget when you get live, right? So we do have the new Paper Pouncers to show you. I'm going to save them to last only because I want to go ahead and I have some demos I want to do with the Paper Pouncers. So I want to go ahead and show you the stamps and stencils because there's not that many of them this month because we wanted to make sure we had enough with our Paper Pouncers. So I have some of Sarah's cards here on the side and we'll go over them. But again, welcome. My name's Nicole Petersen, the owner designer of Picket Studios here in South Louisiana. And I'm going to go ahead and start our March release with showing you our stamps, stencils, and dies. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be coming back with a full card to show you. But then I'm going to show you our stencils and embellishment mixes and our mixed media products tomorrow night because it would have been way too much. So I'm breaking it up to Paper Pouncers, stamps, stencils, and dies tonight. Tomorrow night will be our embellishments and our mixed media products, plus I will make a card. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing you see on top is a seamless stamp set. It is called Presents for All Seasons, and it really truly was designed to be something that is perfect for all seasons. It does not have any type of motif that shows you if it's Christmas or if it's for a birthday. Its pattern is all about presents. And you turn it into whatever you want by adding your colors. Now, this is a seamless stamp, which means you stamp it once, and then you move the stamp up, and you can stamp it as many times as you like. And then you can go from the top and all the sides. So it just lines up perfectly, and you can continue stamping on all four sides. So instead of buying a big stamp, that's twice as expensive, we do this the same size design, but we just sell a part of it, and then it just expands from either side. And these are called seamless stamps. And you guys will see, if you look on our YouTube channel, there's lots of examples of how to work with our seamless designs. So this is called Presents for All Seasons. Here's a card that Sarah did. And you can see here, she took the stamp and made a slimline layer with it. So she lined it up and then went sideways. Next, we have Escape With Me. Now, this started off as a Father's Day set, but it has very much turned into a set that everyone is just coloring because apparently a lot of women like to fish too. So it has turned into kind of like an escape set where it says escape with me. And a lot of our designers chose this sentiment and did made some beautiful, beautiful cards. Now this might look like it's a hard stamp to color, but it's really not, because depending on what shade you would stamp this tree and boat in it, and just adding a little bit of Copic marker or any other type of coloring medium, you'll get a really nice, easy blend. And the sentiments are fun. They say things like, dads come in all shapes and sizes. I'm glad mom picked you. A little snarky. Thanks for being a great parent. Today is our day. Happy Father's Day. Family is always first. Sometimes a day of nothing is necessary. I am blessed with you for a dad. Relaxing with you in my happy place. So it's not just necessarily about fishing. It could be for, anytime you want to give a semi-masculine type card. Okay, and then we have, so this is a really fun stamp set, the next one. It's a 6x6, and it's called Plant Happy Thoughts. And this stamp set, when I originally designed it, I was really working on, I wanted something that worked well with embossing because it's nice thick lines. So if you wanted to clear emboss it or gold emboss it or any type of embossing. However, my design team did lots of other things with it. Like here's Sarah's card. So she did some embossing. However, she did it in this, like, it's a dark, it's a nice dark blue. It's like a soft navy blue. And then she did some ink blending on top. It's beautiful. So this is called Plant Happy Thoughts. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stamps in it. Yeah, they're really fun. And then, guys, I have not gotten to watercolor this yet because I've been busy, but I cannot wait to water marine blue. No, it's more like a soft navy. No, it's too light for marine blue, but that would be a good guess. Hello, my darling. So Sydney's here. I told her she had to come watch tonight. So anyway, so here's our illuminating peacock. Now, don't let the size of this intimidate you. This is absolutely simple to color. Okay, guys? Truly 2 or 3 blues, a blue, a green, and a purple, depending on whatever palette you have, a nice stamped black image, or even, I know Sarah did hers in, this is Sarah's card. Now, Sarah did hers in pencil color, so, we have to step back a minute and realize this is Sarah's card. So she did hers in pencil color, and I think she used, what is that ink? No line ink? No fade out ink, that's it. But I know a lot of this beautiful. A lot of the other designers used it. One of them did it in gold and then went back and used watercolors to get a really good blend. I know Charlene did one where she used Copic markers, and then she came in and you could see all her blending. You can go and look on our website under Illuminating Peacock, and there's tons of examples. All right, next we have a stamp and die set, and yes, the die is in stock at the same time. So this is called Royal Sweet Peas. So what it is this right here is one long stamp, okay? You can use it on a Slimline card, but you don't have to. It very easily fits on an A2 or a 5x7. But also there are some added buds and some little curly cues right here to continue adding on to the shape. Hi, did you send a text? Okay, so it adds on, I know Sarah, oh, here's Sarah's card. So here's Sarah's card with this, and what she did is, Sarah didn't have the die actually in time when she made her card, so she made this cute little fold, and she used one of our bows from Up for Any Reason, and it's just beautiful. Very simply colored. Nothing too elaborate. So it's gorgeous, and it comes with a die that matches all the sentiments and all the flowers inside. Okay, so this is called Million Oh, sorry. Royal Sweet Pea. I grabbed the wrong die set. That's not the die set for it, but it does have its own die set. I just grabbed the wrong one. So this is called Royal Sweet Pea. All right, now that's it for the stamps this month. We're going to move on to dies. So this is called On This Special Day. And it looks like this. So it stamps from here to here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dies. I will come back and show you a trick on how to get all of these to line up perfectly every single time. Hi, Brandy. Hi, guys. And I'll show you how you use the inner dies and the shadow, and you can lay it all out and die cut it twice, and you can figure out exactly where to put all these words. Next, we have fanciful feather dies. Now, these are dies. They're what we call skeleton dies, meaning that you just have the bones, more or less, of the feathers. You don't have, it will cut the inner parts also. But if what's great about these is you can use them to make shaker dies, or you could just use them as is. Very, very fun. And if you like these guys, buy them, because I had to go, a lot of people have, a lot of stores have bought them. So, you know, we won't get another shipment in for at least 6 weeks of dye. So if you want them, I had to put a quantity in today to make sure we didn't run out on someone's order. Then we have this, it's called Slimline. It really could be called just oversized. If you see right here, Sarah's happy birthday. This would fit on an A2 card. You would just have to stack your happy and your birthday together. It's very beautiful. Someone did this with the sweet peas. I think one of our newest design team members, Liz. Someone said her name wrong in the meeting, and now everybody can't remember if it's Liz or Liv. I'll have to write it 20 times so I remember which one her name is. But she's very, very super talented. And she colored the royal sweet peas and then die cut the birthday in white and put it going up on the side. Oh, so beautiful. All right, so that's it for the standalone dies, and now we have our stencils. Good stencils this month, guys, really good. So we have 3 that are called Tree Bark. We have 6x6. We have 6x8, and then we have Slimline. Now, when you look at these patterns, you'll notice that they are almost the same size. And when I say almost, it's almost the same size. You can see how close this one is. This is to this size. I mean, they're pretty close. We try to get them as close as possible. But when one of them's a square, one's a fat rectangle, and one's a tall, skinny rectangle, you know, it can be a little difficult. But these are all called Tree Bark, and we have 6x6, 6x8, and Slimline. All right, then we have another stencil. This one, we do not have a 6x8. We have the 6x6 design, and we have Slimline. And this is called Pathways. And it's really fun. This is a really good geometric shape. And when I put this in here this month because I was thinking how masculine this stamp could be. And I just thought if somebody really wanted something, a stencil to go with the masculine type stamp, that this would be really good with it. Also, the stamp that's called Plant Happy Thoughts looks really good also because it's very full and deep and dark prints. So this geometric's going to give you some dimension behind it, and it's really nice combination together. All right, and then our last stencil that we have, I know I'm going fast because I want to try to get to the pouncers. This one is called Slimline Flower Burst. This is the one that I'm going to be playing with tonight. So we have 3 sizes in it. We have 6x6, 6x8, and Slimline. And you can see on this one that we try to keep the sizes very close to each other. And you can see on the Slimline that we do try to keep them. It looks like this one's a little bit bigger than the Slimline. But, you know, when it comes to a pattern that repeats itself, you have to be very careful not to skew it. So I do my very best to make sure they're the same exact size. And then you have to put them through the laser machine. So you just kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best sometimes. All right, so that is it for the stamps and stencils. let me quickly show you Sarah's card. So here's one of Sarah's cards where she used the Flower Burst stencil. It looks like she used our Arctic Fox. Here's her happy birthday one where she also used Arctic Fox in the background. She used some of our new birthday embellishments. And then this is a perfect one to start off our talk about Paper Pouncers. So here we go. Babe, the light is really not catching. When you're done, it's not. Just to let you know. So here's card that Sarah did, and it is absolutely beautiful. She used the Paper Pouncers here, and let's see what she said. She used, oh, she didn't tell us the colors, but she used the fanciful feather dyes, and she has some silver ones in here, as well as one of our new sequence mixes. All right. He's going to help us with the light a little bit. Okay, now it's time to get started. Oh, let's see if that's better. Not really. Okay, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to talk about Paper Pouncers. All right, so we have 2 different packs of Paper Pouncers. All right, so this has been about 1.5 years in production from when something that we wanted to produce as a product to being able to come out with our own customized Paper Pouncers. Now, the name Paper Pouncers comes from the fact that we have paper glaze, we have paper velvet, we have paper luxe, we have paper glitz. So I wanted to stay with that word paper. And then the motion that you use about 90% of the time when you're using Paper Pouncers is actually a pounce motion, an up and down motion. So let's go ahead and look into them. So let's look at our first pack. So this is our first pack. There's 9 colors in here. So we have red, pink. So this is like the primary set that if, like I said, these are it's pretty primary, meaning that these are the colors everybody pretty much uses, right? So you'll see this is a true orange, a true red, a true pink, orange, yellow. There's a lime green, a dark green. This is like kind of a teal, or you could say a light blue. This is like a royal blue, and then this is a medium ish purple. So with all the colors, I tried to go with a medium tone, except when it came to the blue and the green, because you can't, I just had to have a dark and a light. And then also I know we do a lot of different blues when we shade things, so I thought we needed 2 blues to begin with as well. So let me go and take these out. And I will tell you that this box that they come in, I'm saving all the boxes. And Matt's over here laughing at me, telling me, why are you saving those boxes? I'm saving them because it's a really good box. And, you know, a lot of us have IKEA or things in our studios, or we have some type of drawer system. So I'm keeping my box. Well, also keep the box for when you travel, just because they fit so perfectly in here that, you know, and guys, I mean, it's a good box. So what I did with my box, totally off topic, is I sealed it back up at the top, put it all back in there together, put some tape on one side, and then I cut the top of it off. So basically I made myself what you would normally buy at the dollar store, a little open container at the top, and I put this into my drawer, and then all my Paper Pouncers just sit in my drawer, and when I want them, I can just take the whole drawer out instead of throwing it away. Okay, and then I did the same exact thing with the neutrals. So I did the same exact thing. I just snipped it right there. Open it up. And I did the same thing. I kept the inside. I did the same thing with this box. This box, I just cut this part off. This part right here. Now I can't see the comments. Sorry. So I just cut these 2 edges off and the top, and I kept the little case so I can put it in my drawer if I want and then take it out. However, I'm going to be honest with you. These lovelies are sitting in my studio. I do have two sets. So one set is in a drawer in the little boxes, like I said. Then another one, I have them sitting on a shelf, and they're so pretty sitting on the shelf, I'll admit it. So let's go ahead and look at one. Let's look at the blue one to see what it actually does. Okay, so when you open it up, you'll notice it fits perfectly in a woman's hand, right? Because that's, yes, I would keep your pouncer boxes, guys, because when you want to travel with them, the perfect little container. And it's a really good box. Okay, so it does say Picket Fence Studios on the outside of it. So when you open it up, this is called a pod. We're calling them pods. So you have your paper pouncer that's inside your pod. And we have inside of it what we call the paper pouncer. So you have the cap of the pod, the base of the pod, and then the paper pouncer. Now the paper pouncer, this is made, and you can see how I'm pulling on it. I did pull one apart because I wanted to see what happened when I pulled it apart. I had to pull really, really hard to get it apart, but the sponge will come out if you pull it out. But then I was able to shove it back in there. There is no glue holding the sponge to your paper pouncer, and that's because of moisture. We wanted it to be something that actually, and there's little teeth inside here that grasp onto the sponge and holds it in there, okay? Now, I like to hold them in two different ways. If I'm going to just pounce on paper, you're going to see me literally pounce, 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 pounce. If I want to get to a certain area, I like to actually hold the sponge, and it gives me much more control over an area, okay? Oh yeah, you can store them in whatever case you want to, guys. Or in your drawer. Mine are going to be on the shelf. I'm not going to put, I use dye inks most of the time, like 99% of the time. So I'm going to use my dye ones that I'll use on a daily basis will be sitting on my shelf. All right, so you can see it's in there pretty good. And you can feel it's very, very dense. There are no holes in this sponge, okay? It is super, super soft. And you can tell how dense and spongy it is. And that's because this was created so we would have an easier time, or, okay, I have carpal tunnel, and I'm getting older, and I think I'm also developing a little bit of arthritis because my hands hurt, when it's cold. So I admit that, getting older, and I was starting to put off blending with the blending brush. If my hands hurt one day, then, I tend to not use the blending brushes. So I kept thinking, but, I still want to add ink. I love, love, love ink. I pretty much have almost, not all full sets, but I have a ridiculous amount of ink. So because of that, I didn't want to give up my inking techniques. I mean, I just wasn't using them as often as I was with a blending brush, right? So, but what I wanted to say is this does not take the place of a blending brush, okay? You could either use this for you'll see your pouncing, and then you can come in and smear or blend ink with your blending brush. So you can definitely use them together, but they don't take the place of each other, okay? All right, so all of them have a white head. The pods match the color of the handle. Okay, so let me show you. So that's the teal color. Here's the dark green. You can see the handle matches the lid and the base. Now, you're going to see in a moment when I start using them, I'm actually going to put my cap to the side of the cap of the pod to the side. And then, I need to, if you don't mind. And yes, keep them away from your dogs because the dogs like them. Okay, guys? I want to show you some things that I made. And I'm going to actually do these with you, but I want to show you some things that I did and tell you how fast and easy and simple this was. And it took no time whatsoever. So this right here, if you can see, is a butterfly. And when you look at it, you would think, gee whiz, Nicole, how long did that take you to do that? I mean, really, look at it. Gosh. No, guys, we're talking minutes. Minutes. That's how long. Okay, guys, I'm gonna come back and answer your questions. Let me finish this. If Sarah can't answer them at the end, I'll come back and answer them. Okay, so if you look at this beautiful butterfly here, where you can see that it has all this little fun ink technique going on. And then I also did it with these smaller butterflies. And I'm going to show you how I did this. I just want to quickly show you some of the samples that I did. And I can honestly tell you, and you can time me, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. If you have this die cut already, you can do this in 3 minutes. So I'm going to take this challenge so I can show you guys. I have a die cut. This is called Layering Wander Butterfly. And I'm going to show you how easy and simple, and anybody can do this. Okay. Now, this is the stencil set that we came out in January. And part of this kit comes with a stencil. I'll show you. It comes with this stencil, an outer piece of stencil. And then it comes with, this is my personal one. It comes with all these teeny tiny little dies come with this larger die, as well as some words, okay? And you can actually see, I always like to fill up extra space in my dies, so that's kind of why you get all these extras. So that's where those little butterflies come from. So what I'm going to show you is, you get this die, and then you can buy the accompanying stencil sets. So the stencil set comes in one big piece. So this is what your stencil looks like, okay? And I designed it where you can cut down the center of this 4x10 stencil. And then what you do is that after you cut them apart, these little holes, you see the holes? They show you exactly where to line up the two stencils. So you can do some ink blending on top. Now, you also get this little mask that comes with the stencil because, you know, I don't believe in throwing good stuff away. We give you all the good product. So this is the mask that came out of this piece. Now, I know a lot of people thought that this right here was meant for stenciling. It's not. This right here is for you to come in with your die cuts, which I put them in here. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to take one of my butterflies. So you see here is a butterfly that I cut out. This set is called Wander. Now, I need to talk about paper real quick, guys, okay? I'm going to be using dye ink. Dye ink is your basic everyday run-of-the-mill, normally nothing special about it. Dye ink is the regular Tim Holtz Distress ink. Gina K's ink is dye. Simon Says Stamps ink is dye. Altenew, I mean, there's most ink on the market is going to be dye ink. Okay, so I'm going to be using Strathmore Bristol Smooth, which is this type of paper. Okay, Strathmore Bristol Smooth. And it's smooth because it has a slick surface to it. And what that does is it allows you to put ink on it and the ink will slide across. Yes, you can use Pink Fresh ink also. Use all your inks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a glass mat, okay, and it's magnetic. So to start my little project, I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the back of this butterfly. Then, do you see this? This is actually for you to hold your butterfly. It's not, you can use it as a stencil, of course, but when I designed it, it's really meant for your butterfly to fit into the stencil like this. So you can line up your holes. You're able to line up your holes. Oh, now that you can see. You line up your holes with the other part of the stencil, okay, like this. So you line these up. And then from there, you can go ahead and add a second layer. But what we're going to do first is we're going to do some pouncing. And I'm going to use, so these are the ones that I pounced earlier. I did one with blues and greens, and then I did this yellow, orange, red, and then I did another one with yellow and blue. So let's do the one first of the red, pink, and orange. Now I'm going to be using reactive ink tonight, okay? Reactive ink is my jam. It's what I always reach for. It's, you know, it's my favorite type of ink. Reactive ink, Hero Arts has reactive ink. We're going to be using ink on 3. Regular distress ink is reactive ink. However, even though we call them reactive or distress ink, they're still dye ink. The difference between this dye ink and Altenews dye ink is that this ink on 3, this distress ink, and the Hero Arts reactive ink have a missing component. And because they have that missing component, they will glide across paper easier, so they're easier to blend. But we're talking about dye ink here, not oxides. Tonight, we're not talking about oxides. We're just using dye ink. These will allow you to move across the surface, and allows you to blend. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take this first little butterfly, okay? And I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm going to use, babe, could you go take all these off? Sorry, guys. Hi, Debbie. How are you? How are you doing? Oh. Aw, hi, Debbie. Why do you want to make me cry? Okay, my husband's just... Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret. Our daughter, who's still on here, lives in Disney World, and she's dating a man who also works for Disney World, and they both live in Florida. And come to find out, Dan's mom is a card maker. Ah! Is that not so awesome, guys? Who knows? Who knows what could happen in the future, right? So excited. I know our daughter's now like, Mom, hush it. Okay, so these are reactive inks that we're using, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start first. Now, I already have my pouncer, and notice I'm putting the head of my pouncer way over there. This is the only part that I'm keeping in front of me, okay? This red base. And the reason why, sorry, guys. The reason why is this little base of the pod is where I'm going to put my pouncer, so that way it keeps ink off my surface. But I'm about to make a mess anyway, so right? So what I'm going to do is I'm pouncing it up. So notice, look, I'm not rubbing on my ink pad. Guys, you never, ever, ever want to rub anything across your ink pad, because you could easily break the seal between the pad and your ink, the base of your pad, and you can destroy your ink pad that way. So anytime you should be pouncing. So I'm going to eyeball this into thirds, okay? So I'm going to come across. Okay, how fast was that? Now I'm going to stop talking, and let's see how fast I can do this. Now let's do orange across the top. Get some orange going. Ooh, I forgot. I was going to use pink. No problem. Let me use yellow instead. That got me all excited. I had a plan. Okay, and then here's my yellow across the top. I am not worrying about these inks getting contaminating. If I took this yellow and stuck it in my orange, okay, then you might have a little problem. But all you would have to do to clean off the excess ink is actually take it and rub the excess ink onto a piece of paper. And you can see that was my first pounce. And I could sit here. Now, look, guys, hold your sponge when you're doing this. I mean, you know, it kind of takes a little common sense, right? You want to hold your sponge, and you can see the more I rub, the more it's going to go away. You can rub it on a wet towel or something. I just like to, you know, I don't know what to say. Just keep them. I don't want to mix up my inks, right? So I rubbed off the excess ink, and they do not hold a lot of ink. That's one of the fabulous things about this type of sponge, is that because it's such a dense sponge, it doesn't get completely saturated. So you can see, look, I've had mine for about a year and a half. And you can see that ink is only on the very tip top of my pouncer. It has not stuck down. But honestly, I'm not going to rub my ink off of this very often. Only if I was going to go to a really light orange would I rub this excess ink on. Because, you know, if your pouncer is already a little moist, it will slide across the surface better. Okay, now, I was supposed to be doing this in 3 minutes. Okay, now this is reactive ink, right? So because it's reactive, I can mist it with water. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to mist my beautiful butterfly with water. And then I'm going to attempt to pick him up off the mat because it's stuck down. And because this is Bristol Strathmore Smooth, it is going to, the ink is going to move and groove and give me beautiful ink movement. Now, turn off your mute. I'm going to mute it for just 1 second, guys, okay? Just 1 second. I need a baby wipe. I can't. Aww. What did she say? That's so sweet of you, Mom. She did. You stopped the whole show. Can I have a baby wipe? Okay, I'm back, guys. All right, so you saw how easy that was, right? Unbelievably how simple and easy that is. Now, if I wanted to, I could come in and just clean up my mess a little bit and pick up a little bit more. And this ink is moving like this because of the type of paper. Okay, now if I wanted to, I can come back in with my sponge and I can pounce more right on top of it. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give this more than one layer of color. Where's my yellow? Now I'm going to be careful with my yellow just because we don't, well, it's dry, but you know. And my yellow kind of looks dirty like this, but that's just because it's got a lot of yellow in it. I'm actually going to pounce some more yellow across the top. And I'm going to pounce my yellow and orange together. Let me clean this up. All right, so I'm actually gonna come and pounce. And you see how delicate those little antennas are? And I'm gonna do this one more time. You do not have to add water to this, but I wanted to show you how I knew a lot of people were gonna be worried that the pouncers left a lot of, I'm using Strathmore Bristol Smooth, guys. I knew people were going to be worried that it was going to leave a round circle on their paper. So I wanted to show you that by no means do you have to worry about it leaving a circle. Now remember, I'm using reactive ink, okay? Ink on 3 is amazing. I actually just ordered it for the boutique for our shop today because I want to start carrying it. And I don't carry anyone else's ink, guys. And I'm not just giving her a plug. This is a single lady who designed this ink completely by herself. It's been on the market for about, I don't know, maybe 4 years. I'm coming in with pink. And I'm just going to pounce a little bit of pink right there. Now, I am not getting my sponge wet because I don't want it to get wet. Because I'm using this paper, I don't actually need for it to be wet. Now, guys, remember what I said. Paper pouncers are not meant, they are not meant to take the place of blending brushes. Okay, guys? Not at all. Let me do one more butterfly with you, and then we're going to move on to a stencil. So here, take this butterfly. Okay, So now that there's more light, this is the butterfly I did before we came on. And I actually used red, pink, and then orange. And you can see it looks like I used distress ink, right? I didn't. It's this ink on 3. It's like butter. It just melts. Then I did these two. This one I used green and blue. It's so hard to, oh, there you go. Green and blue. And then here, I took all the little babies that came with this set and I pounced on top of them. And I also did this one. And with this one, I just used yellow and blue and it totally made green. And then here's all the little babies. So let me show you how fast and easy it is for these babies. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, ink is not the best thing to put on top of your sticky mat at all. But guess what? It's just a sticky mat, and I can always spray some more stuff on it. So here's my yellow sponge. And I want this thing to be yellow. So literally, it's unbelievable just how fast the pouncers actually transfer color. And it's okay, I can wipe my mat off later on. Now let's say I wanted to add some blue and green to this one right here. I can always come in with my blue and green dauber, and I can come in, not dauber, sorry, pouncer, and I can come in and add a little color to it like this. Very, very, very easy and simple. But what I want to show you next is how easy it is to, it would be cool to run that colored red, orange, yellow on. Yes. Precious, previous, next, I don't know your name. That, we don't have any embossing folders, our own embossing folders, but that's a really good idea. I used to have some, but I kind of got rid of them after we started Picket Studios. But I might borrow one from a friend and see how well, what the pouncers look like on top of an embossing folder. I suspect what would happen is that they would leave some texture of the sponge and give it a really fun, different feel than what a normal swipe of an ink pad would. You know? All right, so I'm going to move away from ink on 3, even though they're the best. And I'm going to move on. Oh, babe. And I'm going to play around with 3 distress inks, okay? And the reason why is my husband's going to time me. And I want you to see how fast I can actually turn this completely white Slimline die cut into a completely completed background, ready to go. Now, I'm going to tell you, you are going to need a blending brush for this. I had a whole pack sitting here before I started. Oh, there they are. So I'm going to be using one of our blending brushes from our, what is this called? Our 6-pack find. And it doesn't really matter which one. I have a tendency to always grab this size out of this pack. All right. So we're going to be using black, a tealish blue, and a purple, which I think that's what I must have fallen on the floor. Can you get my purple off the floor, babe? Sorry, guys. So what I'm going to do is I like to put my pouncer, not that one, a regular, I need a purple pouncer. A purple pouncer. I think it's on the floor. You know how married couples whisper to each other? Or just get me one right there. I need a purple pouncer, please. Okay, so as soon as he gives me the purple pouncer, you guys, I want you to time me. And I want you to see, oh, there it is, how long, now I'm going to ink up my pink, my purple. So I'm using 3 distress colors. I'm regular distress colors. I'm using Salty Ocean, Black Soot, and Sandy Ocean. Okay, now, Matt, I have my pouncers. Okay, but I am going to come in and use my blending brush at some point to help smear some of the ink. And last time I did this, it took 3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. Let me take a sip of water. Are you ready to time me? All right. Let me warm up. right, guys. I'm going to start with blue first. You ready? Action, go. All right, so let me pounce some blue. Now this is going to be the marathon of pouncing. Let me get some purple. Obviously, I'm going for like a fun Halloween feel. Getting some purple and blue. Then I'm going to get my black on. Be careful with the black. Don't go crazy now. Now what I'm going to do, the ink is sitting on top of this paper. I'm going to take my blending brush and do this. Oh, it's good. So, so good. And I'm just going to smear it all the way across. And if I want, I can even pick up some ink off of. But what you're going to notice is I can do this super fast because the pouncer doesn't rip the paper, right? Let me go back and put some more blue. How am I doing on time?
1 minute.
Left, or I've taken 1 minute?
1 minute.
Left.
No, it's been a minute.
Oh, it's only been a minute. Oh, lots of time.
You're going to break your record.
I'm going to break my record. All right, and guys, remember, I have carpal tunnel, and I'm thinking I have arthritis. Haven't been to the doctor yet because I like to avoid those kinds of issues. Now, so I have it like this, okay? It's a pounce-a-thon. Now, I'm going to add some water to it just because I can't help myself. I just have to do it. I have to have it blend. All right. Now I'm going to come in and dry this. And the reason why I want to wet it is because I want to come back after and put more layers of ink. And notice, look how close I am getting. You see that? I am forcing the water to evaporate, but leave behind the color. So what this does is it gives you all these veins and really fun colors. I mean, veins and really fun, funky grunge by forcing the ink to evaporate. So I'm forcing the ink to evaporate. And notice it's giving me fun little specks. I love it when it gets specks. I admit it, I've always been obsessed with reactive or distress ink. But remember, reactive ink and distress ink are the same exact thing. All those words are different because they can't actually come out and say. All right, let's see. Where's my baby wipe? Ah, I need a baby wipe. How am I doing on time?
I paused it for your
Okay,
try.
ready? Oh, he paused it. No, you were supposed to keep going. Okay, I'm just coming in now. And when you do this with distress ink, what it does is it adds highlights. So I'm coming in and I'm highlighting all the, see that right there? That little grunge piece. And I'm just going to come in and add a little bit more grunge if I want to. And I want to smear that instead of using my pouncer, because I can just come in and quickly use my brush. Oh yeah, and there's no what? Oh yeah, and if you notice, well, there is mess on my, Matt's over here telling me there's no mess. Yes, there is. But what he's talking about is this. Watch. Look. I can close these without touching them. Like this. So when I'm ready to pick them up, all I have to do is close them and they're ready to go. When I'm ready to work, I just pull off the lids like so, toss the lids to the side, and I'm ready. Okay, what time?
Well, you started talking, so I paused it.
Oh, he paused it. Okay, guys, it was less than 3 minutes.
2:49.
2:49. He paused it when I started blowing. With the
no, but I restarted it after.
Oh, you restarted it. Okay, so 2 minutes and 49 seconds. What do you think?
With a good bit of talking.
With a whole bunch of talking at that. So look at this. Babe, you want to try to show them the color? I'm terrible at catching the lights. So as you can see, look at all that. Yay! Isn't that great? And you can use your blending brush to smear the ink. But guys, that's only if you're using reactive ink, okay? If you're using this reactive ink, just because I wanted to smear it a little bit and make it work, blend it a little. We are not telling you that paper pouncers are blending tools, because our purpose of pouncers is for you to use them on delicate die cuts, okay, like these, okay. Also to use them on small die cuts like butterflies. But also I want to show you how they work so well. Look at this little delicate die cut, okay. Now this one, we just need green and brown, and I believe yellow belongs on everything. Right, and if you notice, I'm not using these, but they can still sit on my desk until I'm ready to pick them up, because they're in their little bottom cases. They're in their pods. Okay, so I need my yellow, because I believe everything needs a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to pounce on top. I would say this is not what my desk normally looks like, but that would be a lie. This is what my desk normally looks like. So I'm going to come in here and I'm quickly pouncing on to just the leaves, because I like a little yellow in all my leaves. And here's my yellow. Now I'm going to come in with green, but what I'm going to do is I have some Post-it notes, and I'm just going to mask off that little area right there that should be brown, okay? And I'm going to come in, I'm just going to hold it. And I can come in with a little bit of green on top, not much, just a little bit of green. And if you want, you can even take your paper pouncer and hold it like this to get it a little bit smaller for you to come in and pounce to add some green. Then I'm going to come over here and add a little bit more green on my leaves, like so. So see how fast that is? Super, super fast. Now, if I want to use the brown, where's my brown? Oh, there it is. Literally sitting in front of my face. I am going to have to wipe this off first. I usually work on top of a piece of paper, like trash paper, because I don't like to constantly, and then you have to dry it. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to have the brown. So this one is here, and I'm going to ink up. Let me see if this will hold it. If I can get this to cover my leaves. This is mint tape from scrapbook.com because I love it. And ever since ThermoWeb got rid of their purple tape, this has been my only alternative, because they just got rid of my purple tape. And I love purple tape. Yes, guys, these technically are not, okay, we have life-changing blending brushes. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything that can blend better than life-changing blending brushes. My goal is not to get you to buy something else for blending. That is not what this product came out for. This is for you to transfer ink directly from your ink pad to your paper, okay? So that way you don't have to always worry about finding cardstock that's the same price, the same color. And then you know what else? Now this was a while when we started with this. I priced cardstock last week for kits, because we have a kit coming out soon. The price of cardstock has quadrupled. Each sheet is now 35 cents more wholesale. More, like whatever it was before, plus 35 more cents. This is not my brown. Okay, well, I'm going to have to use the new brown one. 35 cents more. Is that not insane? I don't know about you, but that's crazy. 35 cents. I mean, especially when you're buying it wholesale and then you're putting it in the price for a kit, you guys are going to pay like almost $1 for a piece of 8.5 by 11. And we're not talking about no 12 by 12. We're talking about 8.5 by 11. Babe, can you go get me a brown ink pad? This one is completely dry. Just get me a distress one, any brown. There might be one on my desk. I don't know. This of course I grabbed the ink pad that's like completely, not inked. It's brown. There might be one on my desk. So I have a little video annex, little room. This actually was Sydney's bedroom for a while. And this is where my video room is, but my studio is in the other room. So if I forget to bring something, I literally have to say, hold on a second, or I'll go and get that for you. But normally this would have been done. Do you see one? Okay. Okay, we're just going to say this is good. Pretend it's darker green, darker brown than what it actually is. So you can see how easy this was for me to add a little bit of green and a little bit of brown on this very, very delicate die cut. And voila! Isn't it gorgeous? Yes. I love it. Finally, guys, I'm hoarding so much paper. Oh, yeah. I can't believe how much they want for wholesale cardstock. I was like, we're going to have to find some kind of other alternative, like white cardstock. So we have this. All right. Now, one of the last things I want to show you tonight is I want to talk about using them with stencils. Okay, guys? Because honestly, when it comes to stenciling, it's like a dream. So let me just clean this up, get this all pushed to the side so I can have enough space to do something. Okay, so I am going to use this stencil. Now, this stencil came out in December because you guys know I'm not always about buying the newest thing, okay? So this came out in 2023, and it is called Slimline Petals. And the reason I chose this one is because I wanted you to see how easy it is to just go from directly one of the same shade of the color to another shade. And this my little annex room always looks like a bomb went off, because it does. So there's a little bit of pixie spray on the back of this, but also the board that I'm using is magnetic. So it does have pixie spray to keep it still, but I didn't know that when I pulled it. I was really just going to show you guys. Oh, a poodle just walked in. Yeah, keep your pouncers and your lids and all the things from your dogs because they really like them. All right, so what I want to do is I have 4 colors, and this is also new, okay? Because I wanted to use a whole bunch of different. I bought a bunch of paper last year on Joann's, a big sale. Oh, yeah. And Strathmore, you will see Strathmore Bristol Smooth sometimes at your big box stores. Buy one, get one free. And it brings the Bristol pack of cardstock down to $7. And my friend, Jen, who lives in England, told me that Bristol Smooth in England is very expensive. And because I'm always like, oh, just use Bristol Smooth. And she's like, Nicole, we can't afford Bristol Smooth on everything. I'm like, what? You can buy it so cheap here. So look, guys, I want to get some of this other yellow off of this. So all I'm doing, and okay, technically this is not a scratch piece of paper, but because I'm out of scratch paper. I know that's crazy. But for some reason, but you see how easy? You can see how dark it looks, but look, this is how light it actually, of what's coming off. So that's pretty light enough for me to start with my pouncing. So I'm just going to start at the top. And you know me, guys, normally I am so paranoid about taping everything down, putting magnets on it. I do have that magnet holding the paper because this board does have paper underneath it. And now I'm going to directly into another shade of yellow and just adding that on, hoping it's a darker color like it says it is. And notice I'm just pouncing. If you want to twist, you can. Look, twisting, I heard somebody say, oh, isn't that going to, your stencils are going to rip the sponge? Guys, this is not felt. This is not cheap dauber material. They are not going to tear. You can take them, and also you're not ripping it across your stencil. You're pouncing it. And because you're pouncing, you're good. Now I'm going to go back to my previous yellow and just go over that one spot where they are, kind of like with Copic coloring. Now I'm going to go to a deeper yellow, same sponge, and I'm just going to come across. Wow, and look, once your dauber has a little bit of ink on it, so easy to get this done. All right, last color is this honey drizzle. Let's see what this does. Oh yeah, that's a darker yellow. Definitely a darker yellow. All right, now I did that quick, so let's see how it looks. Let's see the results. Oh, I see something. I skipped an area. And if I wanted to, I can come up here and add some of this dark with the light. Let's see. And there's my cap, nice and clean. Put it inside the cap. Pull this off. Oh, yeah, look at that. Wow, it looks good. Even surprised myself. So you can see all those beautiful yellow. You can see the darker yellow here, and then it turns into like a little orange, gets a little darker, and then the light yellow as you go. And guys, I'm trying to do this quickly. You know, this is live, and it's been over an hour, so I'm doing it really fast. So if I had time, I would have sat there and probably worked my colors a little bit more. But look, it's perfect. And you know why? It's not because I did it. It's because, here, blending brushes, you see these bristles? And yes, I know, we're the ones who came out with the original blending brushes, Picket Studios. Yes, I know all that stuff. But they're still with bristles. And when you take these bristles and you slide them over a stencil, you have to be experienced and understand that these bristles will have a great chance of sliding underneath the stencil and not allowing your stenciling to come out perfect. I'm not going to lie. I try not to be a perfectionist, but when it comes to stuff like this, I do want it perfect because that's just kind of who I am, right? All right, so your blending brushes do not take the place of your pouncers. Your pouncers do not take the place of your blending brushes. They're for two totally different things. We weren't really focusing on blending. We wanted to cover this surface, right? And the same thing with the butterflies, if I could find them. We were not attempting, okay, to do ink blending here. We wanted to cover the surface. I didn't care if I had any marks because I knew I was using a dye ink that was reactive on Strathmore Bristol Smooth, and I could mist it and move on, right? It's so pretty. Again, with the butterflies also, I knew that I was going to add water to it, but you can see I'm not adding water to this, and this is regular dye ink. All right, so let's talk specifics real quick. Okay, we'll just leave everything open and let's talk specifics. I use two types of paper. I use Strathmore Bristol Smooth with my reactive inks, okay? So, and when I say reactive, I mean inks that are purposely meant they developed these inks so you can mist them with water and they do all the fun little inky tricks, right? Also, I use Nina, okay? So I also use Nina Classic Crest Solar, something like that off Amazon. I forget the long name. I also use Nina. Now, if I was using regular dye ink, okay, I would reach for Nina. Okay, first off, it's cheaper. Also, Nina allows your regular dye ink, regular like Gina K or Altenew, to absorb into the paper and give you that smooth look that we like that dye ink does. However, you have to remember, you have to allow dye ink to dry for it to be completely beautifully perfect, right? So let's get this. So if you want to play with inky techniques and you're using reactive ink, you always want to use Strathmore Bristol Smooth. That's not just with pouncers, that's with any tool out there, okay? Bristol Smooth works with reactive inks, which is Catherine Pooler, which is Distress ink, with Ink on 3, and the other one flew out my head. Hero Arch Reactive Ink. Reactive ink is dye ink. Distress ink is dye ink, okay? And the best results you're going to get is from Classic, okay? The Strathmore Bristol. Now, if you're using regular dye ink, you want to use something like Altenew, because what that does is Altenew's ink, it looks like it's sitting on the surface, but it's really not. It's absorbing into the surface of the paper. And once it's completely absorbed and dry, that's when you get that beautiful smooth look that everybody loves from regular dye inks, okay? All right, now I want to show you something. Do you see this butterfly? He's not very pretty, okay? I had a whole bunch of butterflies cut out and they were in their little pouch. So I had a whole bunch of butterflies cut out and I had them in this pouch. So when I opened the pouch today to do some die cutting, I already had one in there. So I took this one thinking it was Bristol Smooth, but guess what? It wasn't. So when I added this reactive ink, because this is Distress ink on here that you see, when I added Distress ink to this regular Nina cardstock, look what happens. I'm not saying it's terrible. I mean, it's good. I would use it on a card, right? But it certainly doesn't give you this, okay? You can see the difference. So that's how you know if you're using reactive ink, because reactive ink still stays bright and beautiful. And if you use reactive ink on Nina Classic, which is meant for just direct stamping or direct stenciling, that you can, okay, guys? And that's why wherever it went, that's why I have, oh, here it is. When you see this, okay, this ink is still drying. I don't know if I can get to it. Right there, you'll see that the ink looks blotchy. You know why it looks blotchy? Because the ink is still drying. Okay? That's why. This is, so when you're working with stencils and you just are applying regular dye ink, try to use the Nina or even hammer mill with the Paper Pouncers, or even with your blending brushes. You want to grab the Strathmore Bristol Smooth when you want to do something fun like this, because you don't want this. You want this, okay? If you can see that. All right, so this is still drying. Oh, look, I have one more thing to show you. I did use, so this right here is one of the butterflies. So when I was trying to do this butterfly, which is just blue and black, I thought this was on Bristol Smooth, but it wasn't. It was on Nina. I went ahead and die cut another butterfly, and I I used the ink on 3 black and their turquoise blue. That's only 2 colors. And then I went and took that stencil I showed you earlier and I put white Lux on top of it. And I thought this was dry, but it actually must not be because the white Lux is taking on the color of the ink underneath it. So it's actually, yes, you could use watercolor paper with, instead of Bristol Smooth. You're just going to have to remember water paper is normally much more expensive. And believe it or not, watercolor does not take on as much water as the Bristol Smooth can. The Bristol Smooth, I like to think of it as Bristol Smooth as a true mixed media paper. It's thicker. It can hold water. You can mess with it longer. With watercolor paper, you know, it's very easy to get it to have those little peeling up with watercolor paper. So I did try it on Fabriano. I always forget the name of it. An expensive watercolor paper. And it did just fine. They did great. I just prefer, in the U.S., Strathmore is cheaper. Where you live, it might be cheaper for watercolor paper. You're right. Yeah. All right. So real quick, why did we come out with Paper Pouncers? Because my hands hurt. And I was putting off, inking techniques. I wasn't like naturally gravitating to them because that is my style, is much more inkiness and mixed media. But I found that my hands were hurting, plain and simple. Again, ink or our life-changing blending brushes do not take the place of pouncers. And paper pouncers do not take the place. They're really meant for 2 totally different purposes. And as you can see here, fast, easy, delicate through stencils. I'm not saying you can't use your blending brushes on your die cuts or on your stencils. You do you, whatever works best for you. But I know for me, I've been pouncing a lot today. I've been probably pounced for about 5 or 6 hours. My hands hurt, right? And if I would have been using a blending brush, I would have gotten 2 hours instead of 5. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I wanted a tool that was faster, easier, and didn't hurt your hands so much. So this is what we decided we would come out with. Now, again, they're called Paper Pouncers. You get the lid, you get the pod, right? The lid and the base, we call them pods. And on the inside of the pod, you have this foam that's attached to a plastic base. And then to put them away, you just put your Paper Pouncer down and you close the lid. Boom. And that's it. Nothing else. Yes, guys, tomorrow night I'm going to come back and talk to you. I'm going to make a card tomorrow night. I am going to show you the sequence and the new mixed media. But I will give you a hint. This is what Sarah's telling me to tell you. Check it out. This is your wish, Sarah. Excuse me. Sarah and a couple of the girls in the design team were telling me over and over and over that the little jar, so this is a 2-ounce jar of Paper Glaze Luxe, right? 2 ounces. They wanted a bigger jar of Arctic Fox. So here is your 8-ounce jar of Arctic Fox compared to the normal 2-ounce that we use and sell on a normal basis. Now, I will tell you, guys, don't buy this Luxe if you only use it a little bit, okay? Because if you only use this a little bit and you come back in 2 years, I don't know if this big old amount is still going to be good in 2 years, right? Mama Fox. Did I say Mama Fox? It's Arctic Fox. But, so I'm just warning you, this was meant for those people who buy a jar of Arctic Fox a month. So if you don't use this much Arctic Fox, I would stick with just 1 jar because we do not know how long this huge, and guys, like it is huge jar of Arctic Fox, how long it's going to take before it starts to dry out. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to be honest. Yeah. Oh, I know some of you. And it's not cheap. I mean, it's heavy. It's 8 ounces, baby. 8 ounces. All right. Questions. Anyone have, I know you have tons of questions because, oh, I'm the large sizes Mama Fox. That's so funny. Yeah, Sarah's, forget about it. Sarah's going to be through hers in no time at all. She puts it on. She might even slather it on her face at night, right, Sarah? Any questions? I don't know. Matt was telling me some things. What did you want me to say? Did he leave the room? Yeah, all right. So, guys, I'm assuming they did a great job answering your questions. There was one question that I want to address. Latex. Okay, so I'm actually allergic to latex. And I can tell you when I have a reaction to latex, my whole entire body breaks out in hives. Now, I have been touching these with my fingers for almost 2 years before we release them. I have had no reaction. But we contacted our manufacturer and he said that there are things made in his factory that do contain latex. So, could this sponge have come in contact with latex? He said yes. Okay. So, we are not going to say that these sponges are latex free because it's just like a peanut. If something is made in a peanut factory, you definitely don't give it to your kid in case there's cross contamination, right? So if you have latex allergies and you want to use the Paper Pouncers, I definitely would get some latex-free gloves and protect yourself and follow whatever your normal routine is against your latex allergy. Okay? All right. Well, guys, it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Concerns? No? We're all good? All right. Well, I'll be back tomorrow night at 6, and I will show you the mixed media products. I will show you the sequence and embellishment jars, and I will make a card with you. Probably something to do with pouncers and maybe butterflies, since they're all over my desk, right? Who knows? I'll wake up in the morning and whatever happens, happens. All right. Well, guys, we really appreciate you showing up for us and standing behind us. We are a very small company, and Picket Studios is one of our ways of income that we support ourselves. So I hope you have a good evening. I think I'm going to go have an adult beverage after waiting for this all day today. And I hope you guys have a really, really good night's sleep. All right. See you tomorrow at 6. Bye-bye.